Welcome to a new edition of Harness Central. I'm Harold Howe, and we're here with Frank Salive, an old face that's a new face. Frank, we're here at Mohawk Racetrack, where you're going to be announcing again for this week. What's that all about?
Jamie Martin, I think, and Bill McClinchy, the senior executives here at Mohawk and Woodbine on the circuit, saw a need for a summer replacement because Ken Middleton, who's been in the job 10 years now and does a fabulous job, wanted the week off to go to Old Home Week and the Gold Cup and Saucer, which is a great
Frank,
destination.
you're retired. Do they not give a retired guy a break?
I could still be on a break or retirement sabbatical, if you will. And I have been retired for 3 years since August of 2012 when I finished up at Pompano Park. But the game gets in your blood, and it's the sweet addiction you can never totally beat. And I follow it all online, all of the tracks that stream. And Jamie said in 2005, when I left for Western Fair, he said, "We really hate to see Frank go for his reliability." And those kind words, I still have it in the clipping 10 years later. And so Jamie's kind words back then really fuel me for this return to his employ now.
Well, for some of the younger ones who may not be aware of a bit of history here, you left Canada, went to live in the United States, in Florida specifically, which you would remind us every February, and worked at Pompano, and then you went into retirement and moved to Tobago,
Right.
where we thought you're living the Caribbean dream, and but that's changed, and you came back to Sunrise, Florida, last fall, I guess. So what changed?
Trinidad, Tobago, and Canada have been friends and wonderful friends for over 100 years because in the early 1900s, the Canadians went to Trinidad, Tobago to help start the schools and churches. So we've had a unique and special friendship with Trinidad, Tobago for over 100 years. Living there was absolutely fantastic, and the Canadians are welcome and the retirees are welcome, but it's just the Southern Caribbean, especially if you want to follow harness racing and hockey, is a little bit far out of the loop. So it's great to be back in Florida. I live just a few miles west of Pompano Park and Gulfstream, and right close by is the home rink of the Florida Panthers, where I can sit in the end zone for $19 for a game.
Don't want to hear about it.
It was a big decision to come back to America, and North America specifically. Now I'm legal to work in both countries as a Canadian citizen and as a green carded American. So that might open up some possibilities for me. I really don't know what's around the next corner. I'm after the age of 60 now, so it will be a situation where I can be selective. Grinding out the whole winter meet, as I did on this circuit for 15 years, may not necessarily be that appealing anymore at this age. And as a lot of the trainers and drivers told me, after age 50 and 60, you really don't care to grind out the winter meet anymore, but to be totally out of the game is the other extreme. And so I think I found the balance in the middle, and thanks to Jamie Martin for this opportunity and comeback.
Yeah, good. Well, I've got an interesting question for you. With being away from the game on a full-time basis for 3 years, it would give one an opportunity for some perspective. And I know you keep an eye on what's going on around here, but I'm curious what you think about this generation of race callers. There's no school to go to. There's no apprenticeship to serve. It seems to be someone has a fascination with a particular announcer and then gets this notion they'd like to call races and then pattern themselves after an individual or whatever. And I'm just curious what you think of what you see out there of this generation.
There's good and bad about what I see, and some of what I see is people trying to shout, and outshout you, race in, race out, to try to make something exciting that it isn't intended to be, especially in the first quarter of a race, let's say. But it's as individual as the person performing the job. Each man or woman is going to put their own stamp on the job, their own way. Accuracy is accuracy till kingdom come. How you say it is the only variable that really matters. And the last point about your attempt to please everyone all the time, whether you're training these things, driving these things, judging, blacksmithing, selling a pari-mutuel ticket, serving a meal in the dining areas. You cannot please 100% of the people 100% of the time. That said, I think the modern day announcer can find a balance by putting the customer number one, and then the horse people, and then the management. And if you can be adequate for some consensus of knowledgeable and caring people, overlapping those three very divergent groups, the customers, the horse people, staff and management, then you've probably done as well as you're going to do. But to say that me or anybody could be here and please 100% of the people 100% of the time is the height of naive utopian thinking.
Your point about over-announcing or over-yelling or whatever it is, we see that also in television sports broadcasting, where they seem to, there's a number of them despise dead air. They feel they have to fill it. Hockey announcers, I think we're struggling to find the next Bob Cole in the National Hockey League. When he was at his best, he could paint a picture with you. If there was no sound on the hockey game, if there was sound in the hockey game but no visual, you knew what was going on. And I don't know, how do we get people to understand sometimes less is more?
It's a great point, and I will say I've had some kind words over the years from some of the people in the SBOA of Ontario and other customers and other assorted industry individuals who liked the way that I was pursuing the accuracy of the function. So how do we find that? Maybe there's, in the near future, some sort of standardized training for announcers like there is for judges. I think there should be, just for a fundamental understanding of the rules, so you can serve the customers better. And then maybe some fundamental broadcasting lessons about not shouting only when it's really exciting.
Maybe too often racing has viewed announcing as an afterthought.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and there is open gambling. And speaking of that point, I remember general managers in the 80s back in Windsor who would say, don't say the words betting, gambling, wagering. And now the entire game has come 360 degrees where we're trying to put the information in the customer's hands as quickly and as fully as possible, and that is a really welcome development in my view.
Absolutely. Well, Frank, it was great to catch up with you. It's too bad this isn't a permanent arrangement, but it's nice to see you again, and I'm sure everybody will enjoy your announcing this week.
Well, thank you very much, and if you ever get to Florida, October through March especially, I'm always in the company of the Canadians down there. Jack Darling and I have a wonderful outing each February to see the PGA Champions Tour at Boca Raton. And what a tour to learn from, because I've been right on the tee box with Bernhard Langer, Corey Pavin, Tom Lehman, Tom Watson, and a long, long list of names. And this sport, harness racing, and a lot of sports could learn from what the Champions Tour and other tours are doing, or other sports are doing, to give the public more of an access and take the mystery out of it.
Did you say free accommodation?
Free accommodation, well, I don't know. We'll negotiate on that, especially with the Canadian dollar down 35% right now. It's tough down there, but it's worth it. It really is worth it when you see the news reports of the 40-car pileups and record blizzards and cold and things. Really, after age 60, I don't miss that very much at all. What I do miss is the harness racing and the people connected to it.
Frank, great to have you back.
Thank you, Harold, and keep up the great work.
Harold Howe with Frank Salive, giving you the Harness Racing Edge.